Hello, Internet. Welcome once again to the free-to-play cast brought to you by MMOBomb.com. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man, and this is actually episode 392. I misnumbered last week's episode as 390, so there were two 390s, but, whatever. It's this is 392. 392. And, of course, we're doing it live, twitch.tv/MMOBomb, every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Hope you'll join us. Of course, subscribe on YouTube, turn on those notifications, and come on over to MMOBomb.com. There's been a lot of free-to-play games that have released lately. We need you to go to their game pages, write their reviews, your personal reviews for other players. As always, Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. I mean, there's just been a slew of them. So head on over, go to the game pages, and check out the news and giveaways while you're there. We've got a lot to cover today, so let's get right down to it with Mr. Jason Winter. How are you, sir?
We're never going to let Zista do another first look, are we?
He did a nice job. I mean, except for the whole snafu at the end, which, you really have to watch all the way to the end to get it. But, you
have to watch after it goes black.
After it goes black, yeah, you don't, exactly. Well, I mean, he turned off the camera, so they couldn't hear him. Hear him. That's what happened. No, Zista did a nice job with that, and he's got another one coming. Both, we'll cover it in a second. Also on the line, Ms. Gwendolyn Bowers. What's up, Q?
I'm here.
You are here. So am I. So's Jason. We seem to be here.
I don't know. It's that kind of a week.
Yes.
It's just where nothing.
You're here,
nothing
but you're
super
not
exciting. Nothing super exciting. Nothing super upsetting. It's just I'm here.
Yeah. I mean, it has been a nice little, chill week. Obviously, traffic-wise, for a website, that kind of sucks. But, it is what it is. It's the week after E3. So everything's just kind of flatlined as far as traffic and stuff goes. But,
As far as my heart rate.
Your heart rate? Yeah. I mean,
nothing excited to rant about either. I'm just like,
Well, I mean, there's a couple
that was
things.
The E3, though, too, right? There wasn't anything, super exciting.
I get a little bit of a bump in my heartbeat when E3 happens. But I was just like,
There's a couple things, and one of them, Q did a preview for the Aion Classic servers, and we're gonna have to add to that discussion a little bit today too, based on just exactly how those are being received. So we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, so Jason Q and I saw Storybook Brawl, which is a card game / auto battler, and all of us were immediately it's a shame Zista isn't an MMOBomb employee because he should probably do that first look. He's huge into Hearthstone and Hearthstone Battlegrounds in particular, which this mode heavily draws from, or this game heavily draws from that mode. And so I just reached out and I was like, hey, would you like to do a first look video? We all thought of you, all three of us were Zista should probably do that. And he was like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to probably have to edit the shit out of this. He hasn't done that type of content in a while. He's done it before, but it's been a while. I'm going to have to edit the shit out of this. Got it back? I didn't. I did have to make some edits and put it all together and, trim silent moments and things like that. But it was all the basic editing I would do if, Jason sent me something and was like, hey, can you edit this together?
You do more on my crap. I'm terrible.
No,
See, this is the reason I just avoid the entire thing altogether.
I like doing it, so it doesn't bother me. But then, here's the interesting part. He was like, you guys don't have a first look for Goose Goose Duck. And I'm like, no, it really isn't a really great first look video type game because 90% of those imposter games rely on the chat being the more interesting part of the game, people trying to throw blame on other people, and with randos, I don't really want to do that in a first look video, just get in a random group and everything. He was like, I will totally get you a first look video for that. And I'm like, go ahead. You go ahead. So Zista will be doing another one. If you want to just support Zista and give him a shout out, head on over to MMOBomb.com. The first look video is in the banner for Storybook Brawl. Go ahead and give him a comment on the website so that he can see that you actually came and watched it on the website. You didn't surf YouTube, and give him a thumbs up, stuff like that. We'll cover what we think about the game a little bit later after we get to some news. All right. So, like we said, a bit of a slower week, but that doesn't mean that there isn't some interesting stuff to talk about. It's just not huge game announcements or anything like that. It's kind of a weird one, actually. So, and I know Jason hates when I say that. This is weird. This is weird. He hates when I say everything's weird to you, Mike. Everything's weird. I wouldn't put this in weird. This is just like oddball occurrences. Just oddball occurrences. And they all kind of happen on the same week. So first up, NCSoft is taking WebZen to court. This isn't the first time, by the way, that WebZen has found itself in court from other video game companies. But, yeah, it's NCSoft. If I got to pick right off the bat who has more money to be able to sustain any type of litigation, it's going to be NCSoft that probably wins that. Why are they taking them to court, you ask, chat? Yeah, good question. Good question. Nobody in chat asked it, but I'm going to pretend that they did because that's a nice segue.
Well, Mike, why are they taking them to court?
Jason, you asked a question that chat clearly asked too. Why are they taking them to court? It's going to be one of those shows. I love these shows.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. It's a Guardian Veil. Why? Terra Nova. Why? Oh, Old Glory. I know why.
Why do you feel the cast?
Anyway, NCSoft is taking WebZen to court for intellectual property infringement, copyright or IP infringement, for those of you that may not know, claiming that WebZen's R2M mobile game is a copy of NCSoft's Lineage M mobile game. Not just like, hey, you used some assets. Hey, that splash screen that you're using is ours. What are you doing? They're basically saying, that's our game, fools. you took our game and are using it. So according to Korea's Jongang Daily reporting, we found that WebZen's R2M contained content and systems that seem to be imitating Lineage M. After consulting with experts in and outside the company, we decided it was necessary to take action to protect our core intellectual property. NCSoft also judged that there were Lineage-specific features in the mobile game, including artwork and the way users play the game, that should be protected as intellectual property. WebZen said, nuh-uh. That wasn't their direct quote. They of course denied everything and said, we'll make efforts to bring about a reasonable agreement via legal procedures. So I'm kind of torn on this one, Jason. Like, when somebody uses, for instance, a splash screen of yours or a character art of yours as a loading screen in their game, that's a pretty easy intellectual property lawsuit. I think you have a bit of a steeper hill to climb, though, to prove that your IP copyrights have been violated, when you start alleging things like, this plays an awful lot like our game. Some of these systems play an awful lot like our game. I just have visions in my head of, like, Blizzard going after other companies because they put a dungeon finding mechanic in their MMOs. I think it becomes a little more complex, and that sounds like what NCSoft is more alleging, and they kind of just sprinkle on, by the way, you're using some of our assets too.
Yeah, without seeing the actual suit, because we've seen suits like this before where they allege this sort of thing. You could see, here's a weapon that has the exact same color scheme or whatever as a weapon in our game. And you're like, okay, sure, maybe that's actually the same, or a building or something like that. But yeah, if you're talking, what do they say here? The way users play the game, and or the other ones, content and systems that seem to be imitating Lineage M. Like, again, what is that? Is that dungeons? Is that leveling? Is it creating characters? Does it have elves or something? It's like, that's the sort of thing that's going to be really tough, if not impossible, to actually prove in a court of law as being infringement.
It gets a little challenging, Q. It gets a little challenging.
I mean, it's one of those things that I looked at and was like, I don't see how you're going to argue that. Like, because the way most games are made, right? They're constantly stealing systems from each other all the time. people build kind of WoW clones and then they put other stuff in there, and then Blizzard comes along and ganks stuff from them, and it's also just what's natural to the genre of the game, right? Like certain genres of games have certain systems and features in them that is just throughout all the games. And on mobile games on top of that, like they're just so many of them that are just almost exactly the same thing anyway. So I really don't know how you're going to argue anything other than the art or maybe story.
Yeah, it kind of gets into that nebulous area. I think the only grounds you have to stand on are if you can prove that certain systems you're using are so unique to you, and then also maybe patented would help. That, like Activision's patent on its whole like matchmaking system to get people matched with people that bought things so that maybe you'll be enticed to buy things, and they get a patent for that. That makes this a little bit easier to defend in court when you're using our system and that is one we have patented. But when you start talking about general, I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. I have a feeling that this probably does not see a day in court, though. I have a feeling that this, although WebZen has said, we'll use legal remedies they do say reach an agreement. It's like, wait, whoa. No. You don't want to use the term reach an agreement if you're denying everything you did. Jason, I did not steal that from your house, but perhaps we can come to an agreement. I did not.
It's like saying I plead the fifth. I mean.
Yeah. Exactly. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep our eyes on that one. In other big company news, Tencent has Tencent. There's a card in Final Fantasy TCG named Tenzen that is an aggravating card right now, and so
it's on the brain.
A lot of people are aggravated by Tencent. So
it took over my head there. Not Tenzen, Tencent. Tencent has made another purchase. This time it's in Jaeger, the company behind The Cycle, a game Jason and I like quite a bit, and Dreadnought, which we kind of like the idea of, but then when we played, it was just like, this is way too slow. Previously, though, Tencent did own a minority stake in Jaeger. Now they are the majority stakeholder for Jaeger. And that's all while The Cycle is kind of going through its own massive revamp that Jason and I have spoken previously on the show that we may not be a fan of when it actually releases. Now, I have played the first alpha of that. I'm not sure. I don't remember if there's an NDA on me saying anything about it. I know I'm not allowed to show video. I wasn't allowed to capture video, and I wasn't allowed to take pictures. I can't remember if I'm not. I didn't like it.
You could probably say vague things.
I didn't like
and
it.
Not, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Jason, our fears may be coming to fruition. Now, it was a very basic build. There was some stuff that I liked. It did seem more like quest-driven and objective-driven and go do this and go do this and go do this. So you weren't just kind of sitting at the mall waiting for matches. Anyway, more on that there's things I like and things I don't. We'll see how it all pans out.
I'd honestly forgotten about that, but then I looked back and looked at the article. I was like, oh yeah, that.
Yeah, because you actually like craft your stuff outside of game now and opt to take what you want in. Now, this is all public knowledge, so I'm not saying anything you can't find on their website. You make your guns and consumables and your ammo, by the way, and put a loadout on your character and go into the match. And if you die or whatever you use in there, that stuff's gone. You really want to make it out. So it's all going to depend on...
That's a bummer.
Yeah, it's all going to depend on how balanced it is as far as, like, is ammo really a pain in the ass to make, or is it just, a dime a dozen and it's no big deal? But these things that are more valuable would hurt if I lost. We'll have to see how it's all balanced. Anyway, Tencent, now the majority stakeholder there. Jaeger employs about 140 people, predominantly working on The Cycle, but again, still also on Dreadnought a little bit. Tencent, more acquisitions, more Western companies being gobbled up. Thoughts? You apprehensive about Tencent yet?
As far as the companies themselves go, no. And it just occurred to me, I wonder if this is kind of the dream now for these smaller developers to go along and be, have like Tencent be like their big supporter, because they do, right? Unlike
So it's the
Activision or
2020
EA.
version of way back when. Let's just build this up and get bought by Microsoft. Let's just build this up and get bought by Microsoft.
In this case, right, unlike Activision or EA or anything like, those bigger companies that we all just loathe because they come in and destroy the smaller company, right, that they bought. Tencent's basically like, all right, here you go, and then more or less leaves them alone so they can continue doing what they're doing, but they've got all this big padding behind them to do it. Right?
Yeah.
So I kind of wonder if that's now like the dream for smaller devs, is to have that Tencent padding. Now, as far as like the rest of the Tencent related stuff that we've talked about before, that's always kind of concerning. But as far as like the game and how it will affect the players and the game they get, I just don't think it ever really will. But it's still, the other stuff that should always be, I guess, of a little bit of concern. But they're in every game anyway, so what are you going to do? Just stop playing games?
Jason, they used your favorite phrase, by the way, one you spoke to on last week's show when we were talking about Digital Extremes, also owned by, well, its parent company is also owned by Tencent, where they said, hey, Jaeger is to remain independent following this whole transaction.
I mean, to say that in terms of their business practices and what they do, then okay, but they're not an indie dev. So as long as they're not saying that in their press releases or whatever, I can sort of live with it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be, again, a case of a lot of people saying, well, Tencent's buying everything up. Oh no, that's terrible, faceless Chinese giant company. And it's like, yeah, you don't necessarily want everything to be, under one banner, but some of these indie devs or former indie devs, they want the money and they need some of that money to help them to get by and survive and continue to produce their games. So it's not necessarily a bad thing if it means the other option is that maybe the company goes away entirely. So yeah,
Or gets
it's not as
swallowed
cut
up
and
and
dry.
dismantled by another company.
But Tencent doesn't do that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, EA, sure, but you've never seen that with Tencent. So, and they have been pretty hands off with all the companies they own, whether it's Epic or Grinding Gear or it seems like Funcom or whoever. They seem to not be as meddling as you might expect from some other companies. So I think it's all right for them.
They did pick up 31 game companies last year in some way or fashion. Not as maybe majority, but they substantial pieces of the pies in 31 companies last year. Jason, you've already mentioned Leiyu Technologies, which owns Digital Extremes, Funcom, Epic Games, Riot Games is in there as well. Like, who's next? We already knew, like, at the end of last year, Tencent was doing kind of a debt reorganization that kind of gave rise to speculation that there was a big purchase on the horizon, that they wanted to free up cash for a bigger purchase. Now, obviously, I don't think Jaeger or anybody that they've picked up stakes in so far this year is that bigger purchase, if they even had one planned. But they're constantly on the move. If you had to take a guess, what company is next? What company next gets swallowed by the Tencent wave?
I wonder if they were interested in Daybreak before EG7 swooped in.
Good question.
So if you talk about, they're trying for something late last year, maybe that was what they were going for at the time. But it's tough to think of a big-ish company that requires that sort of financial layout that isn't like a super big, like an EA or something like that. So,
although that would be hilarious.
Nah, I think that would be that's not going to happen. I don't think.
I didn't say it would happen. I said it would be hilarious.
Who's next, Q?
God, I have no idea. I can barely keep track of what companies are doing what anyway. Are you sure everybody isn't already owned by Tencent?
Owned by somebody.
Does Tencent have a piece of MiHoYo?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think
I don't think so either.
Doing its own thing.
I mean, it would be a big purchase at this point with how much
Oh,
money.
oh,
Genshin
yeah.
They should have bought
Impact
them. They should have
pulls
bought them
in.
last year if they were. Gonna
Yeah, they should have bought them before
Yeah,
the game
when
came
it was
out.
when it was just Tonokai, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't
They have
see
2,400 employees, so it's a little more than Yager. But yeah,
Yeah, just a little more,
a little bit.
just a little more. 2,400 versus 140.
MiHoYo is so weird too because when they do their competitions and stuff, instead of giving you in-game rewards, they just send you things.
Yeah.
Like they've apparently just got that kind of money to blow that they're like, here's some stuff that will pay the shipping and everything on, and it's sitting in a warehouse anyway.
That reminds me of the early days of Decipher when Star Trek and Star Wars CCGs were just money, just printing money.
Yep.
I'm sure what Wizards of the Coast was probably the same way, but I remember, some things at Decipher that.
We'll have to watch. Like, I know a lot of people are apprehensive about Tencent. We're actually going to ask you that at the end of the show to get your thoughts. But it's, unlike other companies, you might not want, like, the big China conglomerate in on your, European or American or South American businesses or Latin American businesses. I get that, right? Like, there's the whole stigma of working with China for some countries. So, yeah, I get that. But they really don't have the history that you would think a company that big has. Like, you'd never have Jason Schreier expose articles of a company shutting down that just starts screaming about how awful it was to be owned by Tencent. So I don't know. You just don't. Now, does that mean it's all roses and champagne behind the scenes? No, probably not. There's the usual corporate pressures that go into things, but I don't know. Oh, Terra Nova, Perfect World Entertainment. I think that was my guess last year. If I remember right, I think that was my guess last year when they were freeing up cash. So
I mean, there's Perfect World, Gamigo.
Yeah, I guess. Well, Gamigo.
I don't think
Tencent know.
Has anything in Gamigo, right?
Yeah, but Gamigo, I think, is a little too big at the moment. I mean, they're the ones that bought the Tryon Worlds assets.
Right.
What about like CCP?
They're owned by. Aren't they owned by Funcom already? Or wait.
No. Funcom is owned by Tencent.
Yeah, Funcom is Tencent now.
Yeah, Funcom never bought CCP.
I'm thinking White Wolf. Okay, because CCP.
Yeah.
Like
not White Wolf.
And then White Wolf was sold to Paradox.
That's it. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, you're
Correct.
right. You're right.
Yeah,
okay.
But like CCP, they've got Eve, right? And X projects that just seem to keep coming and then not coming. So
they've got a free-to-play shooter in the works, which they have for the last 10 years.
Right after their first one shut down. So yeah, Old Glory says, I think you mean Stunlock, not Stun Clock, although I think you just named my new business.
We wanted a large studio.
Cormac says NC Soft. I think that's way too big.
No.
Yeah, I think that's way too big. Not that they couldn't. I mean, I'm sure they could at some point. And NC Soft wanted to sell, so they had the chance. Nexon
wasn't Nexon the one that wanted to?
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm
Nexon.
sorry.
Nexon,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
It was Nexon. You're right.
But nobody wanted Nexon.
Right.
I forgot what the guy wanted for it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll keep our eyes on it, and it'll be our question of the week. We want to know how you feel about Tencent. If you're looking to win some money, maybe go check out Core Games and their Invitational Game Jam Summer 2021. This is like the longest title ever. The Core Invitational Game Jam Summer 2021. It just rolls right off the tongue.
They had to specify summer because there was a game jam like 3 months ago.
Yeah, just a few months ago. They're actually running a couple of things here, but that one's the big one. So they're going to have like game creator boot camps and coming up soon. So if you want to get into like creating games on the Core platform, which uses the Unreal stuff, so there is a bit of, I guess you could argue a bit of development education you could get from just messing around in there for a while. They're also going to have a little tournament with their influencers on YouTube and Twitch, where if you could team up with them and be on their roster, and there's some cash prizes for stuff like that. But if you're actually a game company or a game dev, Core really, really wants to try and get you to create something on their platform, Q.
Yeah, well, they actually specified experienced modders and developers and teams, and then said that you don't have to be, well versed in Core. You could be coming from Roblox or Fortnite Creative. They specifically mentioned those two. I'm sure there's other things as well, but right now they're just taking signups for it. The thing won't start until August, and they're only accepting 50 applications, which, I mean, I guess is actually a reasonable amount. It's not like
Well, yeah,
really
because
tiny
on the
amount or
50,
anything.
they're immediately giving most of those people $1,000 just for submitting
Right.
something. You know,
Right. Well, submitting
here's
something
$1,000. And being accepted into that group of 50.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then after that, they're giving away somewhere between $3,000 and $10,000 cash to individual winners. $3,000 for their special awards, most aesthetic, most innovative, that kind of stuff, and then $10,000 for specific categories: best game remaster, best RPG, best tycoon simulation game. And the fun one is the best overall, where they're giving away a Tesla Model 3, unless you don't live in the US, at which point you get 45 grand.
That is a lot of money. Like, Core came out of nowhere to me, Jason. And I did the first look and was generally positive about it. I liked it. It was like a more adult Roblox. I did like the Unreal Engine being worked in there so that if you didn't have experience in that and you wanted to mess around with it without like taking big online classes or anything, you certainly could. Or you could use their streamlined development tools to go ahead and do a lot of that stuff. I'm generally very positive about Core games. And some of the games that people have created I think are fantastic. And I've enjoyed playing them. It is still installed on my PC to this day. But I got to admit that, it kind of came out of nowhere. Like, I didn't even know it was in development until, like, 3 days before I was doing for a first look for it. We just, like, got a press release, and then it was like, hey, by the way, this is available. And now there is just so much money being pumped into its promotional. And if they have the money, that's great. That's good stuff. Can it catch up to something like Roblox or Fortnite Creative or something like that? Or is no matter, or are they caught in the Epic Game Store type situation where, yeah, you can throw a shit ton of money at it, but it's still going to be years and years and years before you catch up?
I think I'm not as surprised that they have money to throw at it, because we see these all the time with these, game companies coming up with some idea and getting, hey, they got 6.2 million in funding or whatever. Isn't that Splitgate game that we looked at for like 5 minutes that got like $6 million in funding? So it's like, if that could get that, then I'm not surprised this has money behind it. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think if it does have any chance to catch up with Roblox, it has to do stuff like this to try and draw on some eyeballs. Although 140,000 isn't that much when you consider what they probably got, sitting on and so forth. Plus, the cute thing about this is they're paying people to make content, which is kind of what you have employees for. The entire notion of a thing like this is that generally you get the people to make content for you for free, but they're going to do this whole thing to prime the pump or whatever. So it's not maybe that amazing that they're giving out $140,000. That's what, like,
well, and then they do let
3
you
or 4
monetize
full-time
the
employees.
stuff too once they're launched.
Well, sure.
So.
They'll get the share from that as well, obviously. So yeah. But yeah, I mean,
I like Core. I haven't played it in probably like a week or two now, but it is still installed, and I got to do my round through there. I think that would make like a decent video series or something like that for somebody that was so inclined to, like, once a week or once every 2 weeks or once a month, whatever, just do the rounds on what's the latest and greatest in there.
Kind of like the Rift Dimensions thing we did forever ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
When I did I streamed it on the MMOBomb cast for it once, and I remember I went through like about 10 games or so, including the copyright infringement Star Wars games that they have on there. But
right. Okay, this isn't odd, but we do want to give you a voting recap. If you have not been voting, you need to. Just head on over to MMOBomb.com. Right in the slider at the top, you won't have to search for it. You will see a link to the overall rules for our best free-to-play game in Quarantine Tournament, and that post always has a link to the current round of voting. We right now, Jason, are in our very last round for our initial group of 64 games.
Mm-hmm. We're going to be trimmed to 32 as of
this is it.
About an hour and a half from now is when that last poll is going to close. We'll start the second round.
That'll close. So if you're watching this free-to-play cast on YouTube or on MMOBomb.com, you're too late to vote for the initial round of 36. We put them up 4 matches at a time, gave each one like 2 or 3 days, and then moved on to the next group. So here's where we're at. We're not going to go through every one, but I do think there are a couple surprises that maybe you want to see, and the numbers represent the percentage of the votes they received. Yes, Q's cat is there.
So they're both here and they're about to fight.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So if I dodge
we'll be
that
taking
way,
bets on the cats right now.
Vote on the cats. And
you have 3 minutes to get your bet in. So first up is our Cleric division. Our top 8 from that became Genshin Impact, The Cycle, Blade and Soul, Team Fortress 2, Destiny 2, Secret World Legends, Smite, and Warframe. I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of impressed that Secret World slipped out of the 64 and into the 32. It beat Trove by a 60 to 40 margin. I thought Secret World Legends, very dear to my heart, but I can't play it anymore. There's just no point. I thought that was dead in the water. Not really surprised that Smite beat EverQuest. Not surprised at all that Warframe just trounced Skyforge. By the way, the initial 64 were not ranked in any particular, like, this is what we think is number 1 and this is what we think 64. The only modifications Jason made to it was to try and avoid having companies that had multiple games in the tournament from having their own games paired up against each other very early.
There was some light seeding, but it wasn't a straight up 1 through 16 kind of thing. There was a little bit of let's not put big game versus big game in round 1. I tried to switch that around a little bit.
Ring of Elysium got trounced by Blade and Soul. That is a free to play game that was very highly regarded initially, and then has just disappeared from news. I don't know if there's been any updates to it.
I check it every now and then. It looks like they do something occasionally, but
yeah. Any surprises
way,
for you two here?
Just to be clear, those are the 4 matchups we'll have up today. Those second round matchups.
Oh, so the Genshin Impact versus The Cycle, Blade and Soul versus Team Fortress 2, Destiny 2 versus Secret World Legends by Secret World, Smite versus Fortnite. That one I think will be interesting. Smite against Fortnite. Or Warframe. Yeah. Sorry. I think that'll be an interesting matchup.
I think Warframe will get that one.
I think so too. But I don't think it'll be 82 to 18 like it was Warframe to Skyforge. The second division, our Rogue division, Jason, want to chat about this one a little bit?
Yeah, you got what was my big surprise there? D&D Online being a little surprising there.
Killed Dota. I mean, granted, they went up against Dota Underlords, not Dota 2. But
sure.
Dota 2
that might have made
elsewhere.
the difference.
But
that'll be elsewhere.
I'll tell you what, DDO Unlimited tweeted out multiple times to get their fans to go play, to go vote, and DDO Central, the kind of community-run side of things, also retweeted everything. So there was some driving. So if you are developers on these games, you need to get your audiences there. When we tweet this out, you need to retweet that stuff because some of the games took advantage of retweeting it and pulled up some upsets.
Although, didn't you also get the Star Trek Online people talking to, and yet Guild Wars 2 still knocked it aside?
Star Trek did not retweet anything. I sent them an email because they were talking to me already while we were working on that round, and I was like, "Oh, hey, by the way, you might want to tweet this out to your viewers, your fans." They're lost.
Maybe they're just above all that.
Yeah, maybe.
No, we get enough stuff from Cryptic and Perfect World. They'll do anything.
MapleStory crushed ArcAge. I mean,
that's not too surprising to me.
Yeah,
MapleStory was another one that was all over it, social media wise. All over it. I got direct tweets saying that MapleStory was going to crush it from MapleStory fans.
Okay.
PSO2, I'm not surprised. Not surprised there. World of Tanks, Realm Royale.
That'll be an
not-
interesting second round.
Yeah,
PSO2
PSO2 and World of Tanks. Yeah.
Mm.
D&D Online and Warzone. Warzone ain't gonna retweet us, so D&D Online could probably, work something if they get the word out there. If you're fans of these games, by all means, like post on their forums, let them know. Get your friends and your players to come to the site and vote. Third tree, the Warrior Division. What are we thinking here, Q? Look at these and see who are your favorites.
You still like Rift?
I do still like Rift, actually. I mean, it's another one of those games that I just fell out of because everybody else fell out of it, and the whole nomadic MMO player thing. So I do still like Rift. As far as guessing which one would win on most of these, I have no idea. I do prefer Dauntless to cross out. I'm not a fan of Star Wars, so
Windshark saying Path of Exile takes this tree.
Which one are you? You're a big
Exile
CSGO
for
player,
sure.
aren't you, Q?
Oh yeah, so big.
Oh, yeah.
I would imagine CS:GO would what is that? War Thunder?
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine CS:GO. Well, then again, the whole tweeting thing, so that would make a difference because I don't.
It can.
CS:GO isn't really tweeting us. So.
Well, they're not really tweeting anything. They just do it. Valve's just like whatever.
They just do their shit.
But
I like for sure.
I do like Crossout knocking Fortnite out in the very first round.
Yeah, I mean,
sending Fortnite packing in a close vote. Path of Exile, World of Warships. World of Warships might not even. They may not even set sail. Yeah, they didn't even get out of port. 91 to 9%.
That's how you could tell that I didn't rig these elections. I would never would have put warships up against Path of Exile in round 1.
Right? You would have given your ships a chance.
Yeah.
Now here's the last one, but again, these last 4 winners won't be seeded until later today. So you still have, if you're watching this live, you still have a chance. You can go to MMOBomb.com right now and vote. If you're watching it on YouTube, you'll be voting for the first group of matches for the 32 round. So here we've got Dota 2, PlanetSide 2, Rogue Company, and Terra. Terra, again, all over liking and retweeting as well. Bouncing RuneScape, which that one is kind of funny to me because RuneScape does do a lot of retweeting of our stuff and things like that. But they didn't on this for, who knows? They weren't there. They didn't see it, whatever. Terra did and bounced them.
I think it was only 1 or 2 votes in the PlanetSide Brawl Hall, I think, too.
Yeah.
Like you can see there, 51-49.
Wow, is that close? Right now, Apex Legends against Bless Unleashed. So we know, chat, you're right. Troy has been making multiple Google accounts so that he can go vote for Bless Unleashed multiple times. MTG Arena versus Lord of the Rings Online. I am kind of interested in how that one plays out. Valorant versus Conqueror's Blade.
Again, you can tell I didn't.
Yeah, there's no way you would have put CB against Valorant if you had swayed this. Rocket League against Neverwinter. That one kind of hurts my heart to see those two go against each other because I do have a soft spot for both games. So, yeah, but there can only be one, I guess. We shall see. We shall see. We will have these groups go up. They'll be up for 3 or 4 days each so that you can vote in all of them. We'll whittle it down to 16, to 4, to 2, and then to a big wiener, our best free-to-play game in quarantine. Go vote now and get all your friends and fellow players to go. But don't bring any con men. Don't do that. Don't try and cheat. Don't try and make multiple Google accounts. Those are cheaters, guys. Cheaters.
That thing you just accused Troy of doing?
Those are cheaters.
Yes. Oh, we know Troy's a cheater.
Don't be like, I don't know, let's say a pro Valorant team from Singapore. I'm just saying, don't be like that, Jason. And, I might just be making that up, right? There's no reason to compare that to a con, right?
Oh, no, nothing at all. Not like, betting against your team to lose 0-2 in a big match and then having your team lose 0-2 somehow. That was just a strange coincidence. Well, except it really wasn't.
Oh,
Because
no.
as it turns out, there was a team last year called, what was it? Resurgence, playing in a tournament last year, a big tournament in Singapore. They lost 0-2 to a Japanese team called Blackbird. And it was found out just a few months ago that one of the players on Resurgence actually did place $3,000 in bets against his team on an illegal gambling site, as the Straits Times reported it.
Oh my.
So,
Oh my.
yep, the Malcolm Chung. I'm not going to try to pronounce his gamer tag or whatever. He made those bets with the help of another player, not a player on his team, a guy named Ryan Tan. And between the two of them, he also told some of his teammates about that, although not one of them. One of his teammates apparently stayed out of all this. But the 5 members of the team, as well as Tan, have all been suspended from Valorant competitive play for a period of time, 3 years for Chung and Tan, and lesser certain sentences for the other 4. And they could also have issues with the law in Singapore. The actual legal authority there. The Corrupt Practices Investigation Bureau is looking into them. And it said that it will not hesitate to take stern actions against any parties involved if evidence of match fixing through bribery is established, which could include up to 5 years jail time and a fine of up to $100,000, with additional 6 months and $5,000 for just illegal online gambling in general. So, is that worth a $3,000 bet?
Wow.
No.
Riot basically said, hey, we take violations very seriously.
Yeah,
and then,
Singapore takes them a lot more seriously.
Yep. Yeah.
Wasn't it illegal in most countries to bet to do bet fixing? Like,
well, oh yeah,
imagining that.
Oh, 100%.
Like, so doing this in any country, you would run afoul of the law.
I'll admit that it's interesting to see them actually take esports that seriously. Because I had the feeling if that sort of thing happened in the U.S., if it was like Overwatch League or something, I think the authorities would be like, yeah, whatever, your kids are playing video games, whatever.
Right.
That's how I feel like the U.S. authorities would really.
I mean, that is kind of us.
Yeah.
That is absolutely nutty to me, because I'm like, well, wait a minute. If you're a decent pro esports team, I would imagine your prize money would be more valuable and a higher dollar amount in most like high scale tournaments than whatever the payout was on a $3,000 bet that you would go 0-2.
But that way you have a guaranteed payoff. That's what I can see.
I guess
you have to try to win.
Yeah.
Or I can just try to lose, which is easy, and get the guaranteed money. So,
I mean, how easy is it though? Well, I mean, to actually, like, I feel like trying to lose is kind of difficult too.
That was what the guy said. That's what Chung actually said. He said, "I'm okay as long as my manager doesn't suspect." So it's like I can see, and this has happened in regular sports for decades. You know.
Oh yeah.
Players throwing matches and trying not to make it look like they really are, and they get found out occasionally, but who knows how often they don't. Yeah.
Oh my. And Destiny 2 sent out some cool gifts to some streamers to kind of advertise some upcoming stuff, but don't be like the other people in this story where, Destiny is going to give away the spicy ramen emblem, and some data miners found that out ahead of time and so started trying to sell theirs to other players. I hate humans. I hate humans at this point. So yeah, don't be like those people. Go vote in the polls and do it legitimately.
I think the thing about this is, though, what's really hilarious to me about this spicy ramen thing is you're gonna get it for free.
Yep.
But you're still willing to pay somebody else for it. Like, who are you?
It's like when there's like beta access to a game or something, closed beta, and people are like, "I'll sell that on eBay for $100" because some people just want it now or whatever. And
it's those people that are concerning, not the ones actually doing.
Well,
the
like
selling.
I get like, hey, I really want that emblem, and Q has it, and she's gonna sell it to me. Cool. If I don't know about the upcoming freebie that's going to happen.
Well, they're relying on ignorance to make money.
Right.
So.
It relies on ignorance, that I didn't see that the data miners had found out that this was going to be free in X update. And now Destiny's like in a huge war with its own player base about spoilers now. If you watch their social media and forums, it's kind of funny, actually. Kind of funny. I hate humans. What? I'm an alien.
Xenophobic is the word you were looking for.
No, that's if you hate aliens.
No, that's if I don't like aliens. Yeah.
If you're an alien that hates humans, then you are still xenophobic because
I guess
hate.
so.
Well, true, but
Yeah.
Yes.
Mike, are you an alien?
I am not an alien.
Actually, it's been my theory for years that all mics are aliens.
All mics are. All right, let's wrap this up with a little bit of a look at Zista's first look here for Storybook Brawl. Now, we did not do the first look. However, I did play this a little bit. Did either of you play it a little bit? Or are you just going by the first look?
No, I'm just going by that. That's why
That's why we let Zista do it.
I watched it, but...
There's really not a lot to say. It is a card game auto battler. If you play Hearthstone's Battlegrounds, you know what this game is. Zista did have some gripes about, and it is in early access or beta or whatever the hell it is. I think it's early access. And so they may be making changes in the future. He had some gripes with the UI, it looking cluttered, but at the same time, not revealing all the information that should be revealed so that he could, maybe change his strategy for subsequent turns. And it is one of those, hey, set up your turn and then watch it play out. While I do appreciate the storybook aesthetic, right, they did kind of make light and dark versions of different storybook characters. So there is some creative license taken with characters like the Dark Snow White and stuff like that. I think that's neat. There is lore or mythological lore-based creatures in there as well. I think all that's neat. I like the aesthetic. If you like this type of game, there are certainly worse versions of this, and this one looks like it will continue to get better. Zista was a fan, but he had some concerns, particularly with UI and with monetization. Go check out the first look on MMOBomb.com. Generally, though, these games aren't for me. I like CCGs, but I like CCGs like Magic the Gathering or obviously Final Fantasy TCG, where they're stack-based. For those of you that are TCG players, there is interaction between Jason and I at all times. When he does something, I have a priority window to respond, and vice versa, and things like that. I am generally less favorable to games like Hearthstone, where you basically set up your turn and pass, and then just watch and see what happens on Jason's turn, and then do the same thing over and over again. This takes it even one step further down the ladder for me. In literally, you set up your turn, Jason sets up his turn, and then you both just frickin' sit back and watch while they do their thing. So this game isn't going to be for me, but not because of anything the developers themselves did or because of format or because I actually like the aesthetic and the whole storybook theme going on through it. It's just not my type of game. There's RNG upon RNG, and that's not what I look for in a TCG. There's a sentence for you.
Ninja Pandas makes a comparison to V4, and it's not quite on that level, but I think it is the same kind of. It's the same kind of theme in that, between, games like V4, idle games or whatever, it is the same kind of just set up your stuff and then watch it go.
Yeah.
That's been, popular in a lot of different genres, and it's just recently gotten into not just CCGs like Hearthstone. In fact, I'm trying to think of any other CCG besides Hearthstone and this that have this kind of thing. Because auto battlers, I think of things like Dota Underlords or Auto Chess or whatever, which has more of a minions on a board kind of thing. So I think Hearthstone was the first one to try to do that with a CCG. So now we're getting this to come out to try and copy that, and there'll probably be more and more, and who knows?
It's not for me. What about you, Q?
No.
No. Q doesn't like CCGs to begin with.
Yeah.
So now we're like, hey, play a CCG where 80% of the game is RNG. And she's like, yeah, no. If it is your cup of tea, though, Zista was pretty, and it is definitely his cup of tea. That's why we thought he would enjoy doing the first look. And he did a great job with it, so go give him a thumbs up on MMOBomb's posting. Yeah, I mean, he was generally favorable to it. So if you like this kind of thing, there's some fun to be had here. And he did like how responsive the devs were on their Discord channel too.
I will admit, though, the one thing that he talked about that really surprised me it's not in there is voice acting.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're a small indie dev, and it's, you know,
Yeah.
in beta
You
and
mean
so on,
just
but
like the little catchphrases that the
Yep.
well, just anything with all the colorful characters, the twisted fairy tale characters, you think that'd be perfect for wacky voice acting. Like, that almost seems like usually I don't care that much about that sort of thing in a game, but it just seems like it'd just be required for something like this to add to the
well,
flavor.
it is early access, which sometimes means God knows what level of actual development. So
Yeah,
it could be something
it
they'd
seems
put
like
in
the game
later.
is fine, like it's actually done in that sense. But
I don't know. He was talking about like there being, text like things that just should be there that aren't. So I'm not really sure based on his description how finished the game actually is.
And right now, I mean, it's reviewing very positively on Steam. So again, if
Yeah.
you like this, you already know. Watch the first look, and you know whether you're into this type of game or not.
Mhm.
If you're into this type of game, their Discord is very active, according to Zista. The devs are all over there. The community was very welcoming and answering questions for him while he was playing and stuff to do the first look. You could do far, far worse, is my point. If you like this type of game, it's probably worth checking out for you. And there's his first place. He'd kill me if I didn't put that in the video, in the B-roll. Q, on the flip side, you got to check out a little bit of a preview for Aion Classic, and generally came down to like, well, yeah, it's Aion Classic.
Aion. It is. It's Aion. Yeah, the preview for me was mostly them just telling me about it because there were technical issues. So, um, but it basically just comes down to it's pretty much what Ion was when Ion started. They might have done like obviously not a lot. It still graphically looks, but I think they did some adjustments to make it run better because visually because when Ion first came out, and it's weirdly this makes it feel older than saying it's X amount of years old. Windows XP was still the
Yeah.
operating system, which they pointed that out to me. But otherwise, most of their changes are in the monetization and the
And that's not going over very well.
well, it seems like there's what they're talking about, what people are complaining about is different than the other stuff.
Like
It's the candies.
the season pass thing, which and the
Right, well,
free
it's a
hour
candy.
of the blessing every day.
Well, so yeah, the blessing the with that, it's their idea behind it is to prevent bots is what, but I did ask them about the free hour because apparently it's gone over really well in Korea, and I was like, yeah, but Korea's different.
Yeah.
Like Korea's different than
If
us,
they're only just
and
figuring that out now, they're in trouble.
we are the people who, when Ion first came out, complained about Ion telling us, okay, it's been 2 hours, you need to log out now.
Well, they did kind of say to you though that their rationale there, or at least their thought was the audience that would play this,
Right, we've gotten older.
is different now. You know, they're
We
X years
so-
older, family, kids, job, that type of thing.
Right, we're older, so they figure an hour is probably about what you're maybe going to be able to squeeze in on any given day. So then they've got the actual, if you want to subscribe and you get all the stuff, all the time instead of just for the hour.
Shit.
And then the option for a 3-day pass, which they loosely called a weekend pass, but don't really want to call that because you can use it anytime, any consecutive 3 days. So if you suddenly have free time and your kids are like at their grandma's or something, then you could just, do 3 days of going through and playing. I have no idea what the cost on that is because I couldn't find it, but I'm sure it's there.
So whether you like or don't like that, that's going to be a personal flavor.
Right.
But what has exploded a little bit afterwards, and Q will be covering on the website today, is a little more, this really isn't going to be a personal flavor. This could be a problem and needs to be addressed one way or the other, because yeah, there is the ability to cash buy with real money a particular candy in the game that can then be vendored for in-game gold to the tune of about 3 million kina for about $11. So it kind of boils down to RMT built into the game.
Which isn't unusual. It's not the first time a game has done this, right?
No, by not by any stretch, no.
And I honestly can't remember if it's in the current version of not Classic Aion or not. I think it might be. But either way, they were saying that part of the community manager that's kind of handling the discussion on this is saying that part of the issue is actually coming from rumors that stem from there being a exploit in Korea that they handled. And so that's no longer a problem. Other people are saying, I actually saw someone on the forum say something to the effect of they should do an in-game survey because people on the forums, people usually come to the forums to bitch, not to say something nice.
Right.
So do an in-game survey to actually figure out how bad of a thing people really think this is, because the one person replying was like, I think it's fine because either way, somebody's going to be selling kina in the game and they'd rather give the money to NCSoft than to bots. So, I mean, they are kind of right in that aspect that you go to forums to complain, and that's pretty much
Yeah.
it. And obviously, people are mad about this, but yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten far enough. I played to like level 10, and I haven't gotten far enough in it to even notice that was a thing. I didn't even realize it was going on until you sent me the thing. So, I don't know.
I
how
definitely
big of a
can
deal it
understand
actually
the
is.
cries of pay to win on this, Jason, by a certain subset of the audience, because it is Aion Classic more than Aion now, but Aion Classic was pretty PvP focused.
Oh yeah, and it
you know.
is. It is Classic is again, right? That was
Yeah.
actually something I asked them about, was kind of the PvP. It actually started out with the balancing, because the whole not being able to make your faction thing
Right.
that was going on initially. And yeah, so they're still, but yeah, in that sense, it's definitely, it can definitely have an impact,
And there's only
especially if
so
you're one
much
of
you
those.
can do with kina, right?
Yeah.
But gear wise, like 15s and
Gear.
stuff, that can
Gear
be,
pots.
yeah. So it's a weird gray area for me. I think it's just something that should have just take it out. And they're going to, they brought it to the team. They did finally acknowledge this in a forum post, Jason. They're going to take it to the team. There were some comments on why it was this way, because there was previously an exploit in Korea using this same candy that makes it work. Now this is why it works this way, but we'll have to see what they ultimately do to it. It does leave a bit of a bad taste in quite a few people's mouth. Now, whether that means it's, going to be taken out, we'll see. We'll see.
Candy leaves a bad taste in the mouth.
Exactly.
But yeah, I love how this and the other thing are both like, no, we're doing this for you, the players. It's to benefit you. That's why we're only letting you play for an hour, or also putting this maybe pay to win-ish thing in. It's for you guys, really.
It is.
No, I'm not that fussed about the hour thing. I kind of understand the logic behind it, because if they did do, like, that's always been a complaint with free-to-play games, and especially games like Aion, is the botting, right? So I kind of understand, and I mean, it doesn't necessarily work, because even Funcom tried to do that, right? To restrict botting by continuing its
But then all you do if
buy
you're
to play thing. So it doesn't necessarily work, but I understand the idea behind it.
yeah, but
It's
all you do
just,
if you're a bot seller then is if it's $11 for 3 million kina, you set up your shop to be $10 for 3
no, but
million
the
kina.
thing is that where it's coming in though is the whole, there's a crap ton of other stuff that you do not get past that hour. Like, you can't, your leveling and everything drops past that hour if you're not subscribed, and like a full subscription, not the thing you're getting the candy from. That's
different.
that's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
thought we
different.
were.
So if you're not subscribed, then your everything drops down and makes it really difficult for you to like get up into those other areas and do the farming, I think is supposed to be the idea.
But they're doing it because you're older now. You just don't have the time. That's why we're
No,
doing
they
it.
just said that it would kind of work for it as well. I
It
mean,
does
they were
feel a
making the-
little slimy. Like, I can understand, like, whether you think it's pay to win or not, fine.
No,
That's a debate, but it feels slimy. It kind
and
of does.
just the notion that they're saying we're doing it to benefit you. We're
Yeah.
restricting this for your benefit. It's like, no.
Well, no, they flat out said the
GTFO.
benefit was the main reason reason they did it is to stop the bots. And then they looked at it and decided that an hour was probably what most people who would play Aion would probably want to play during a day anyway.
How does it
because
stop
of
bots
time.
though? Like, so if I'm gonna if
You
I'm
make
running a
multiple
bot
accounts, they
farm,
all play for an hour.
then
you
we
know?
just
Yeah.
create a bunch of free-to-play accounts and play this one for an hour, switch to this account for your second hour of your shift, switch to this account for the third hour of your shift, and we just cycle through it.
Right,
I
but
don't know.
it slows you down getting into the upper areas.
Or
It's-
even if I've got a profitable enough bot farm, I pay the $5 a month or whatever, $10 to get my
Right.
subscription. So it's like,
right, yeah, that's the thing is you would end up paying this a sub to be able to get fast
like,
enough to actually sell.
We're doing
Yeah.
this for the
So-
bots. We want them to have to pay too. That's why
I mean,
doing
why not make the bots pay?
All right, enough of that. Let us know what you think of the whole Candy Gate 2021 in the comments below. Let's slide over to the weekly bombs and get out of here. All right, Jason, you can go first, sir.
I'm going to give a dub on to my new esports sensation, which is Conqueror's Blade. Because they've been running the like their competition or whatever for the past few days now. And yeah, you get drops on Twitch, but I'm actually watching because I actually like watching the stuff. It's really neat seeing the viewpoint of the battle from like up on high and when they zoom around and do stuff. It's a lot of fun. I've really been enjoying it. Even if Mike, you even said I don't like playing Conqueror's Blade, but I like watching you play. You should check it out. You should totally check it out. See the
I probably will.
stuff
Will.
blasting all over the place.
Yeah, I'm not into playing it, but I find it enjoyable to watch. I didn't know it was turning into an esport. I will have to
It's
check
probably.
it out.
I don't think it's going to be like a big deal or anything.
It'll
but-
be you and I watching it. We'll watch it.
Well, there's like 100 or something. Let's see, it's actually going right now. How many do they have?
I'm giving
Oh,
a
1,500 viewers right now. I got to turn that on. Get my drops.
Not bad.
Yeah.
I'm going to give a dub bomb to GPU's not overheating due to Bless Unleashed anymore. Well, I mean, hopefully they won't. Because, yeah, that was a thing in the PC beta. GPU's overheating because of Bless Unleashed.
Hmm.
So, yeah, hopefully not anymore. What you got, Q?
I'm going to give an A-bomb to the cats for making a liar out of me. I thought for sure there's going to be a fight.
And now they
But
went
they
to
just
bed.
hopped off. Well, one's asleep over there, and then this guy right here. So
From the viewers in chat, Ninja Pandas, A-bomb to Twitch's choppy servers and annoying buffering. Yeah, we are 100% green across the board on our side. High
Yeah,
bit
I-
rate.
no, it's always,
Usually
it's
I
always
see this-
Twitch.
Yeah.
It does
Yeah.
it near the end of every show too.
Usually I get that too when I'm watching too, and it's been fine today. So I don't know. It's
Chaos also agreeing there. From viewers on YouTube, while we wait for chat to throw the rest of theirs in on their delay there. Sujay says, A-bomb to 9 to 5. I played that demo, one we talked about last week, letting you know it was going to go up, or beta, or whatever they're calling it, and it's just absolutely terrible. I love first-person shooter games, and this just fell off in so many ways. I hope they can tighten it up before release. That is a ringing endorsement, if I've ever heard one. Go ahead, Jason.
Bruckner Catalan says I only played a couple hours of the old trial of Final Fantasy XIV, and my God, it was horrible. I was expecting voice cutscenes and quests, and I got a mute world. And the questing might have changed, was so wildlike that it didn't even make sense to play any further. I hear the story can take up to 200 hours. I'd rather milk mad cows for 200 hours than read a quest text and go kill 10 wolves for some poor farmer whose sheep got eaten.
Well, all right. Another ringing endorsement.
Everyone loves things today.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand, like, A Realm Reborn is a bit of a slog if you're going through it. It was then. It still is. It's a little shorter now. They trimmed it like 13%, and the experience levels are now worked so that you can just go straight through the main quest and get your levels. You don't have to do all the side stuff the Breckner's talking about there. So, I mean, maybe check out the older trial, but if it really wasn't for you to that degree, I don't think the changes are going to make it all of a sudden for you, my friend. Ninja Pit. Oh, I already did that one. Old Glory says, Dabomb to Joymax, still publishing Silk Road. Going to try that game again. Terra Nova, A-Bomb to Elder Scrolls Online PS5 and the crashing to home screen when entering dungeons. Yeah, it's having a bit of a rocky jump to the current gen consoles. Guardian Veil, A-Bomb to games releasing that aren't finished. Yeah, we're going to talk about one tomorrow on Gaming Gumbo with Jason and I and Yod in Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance. So that'll be fun.
It's going to be Cyberpunk again.
Oh, we're going to mention Cyberpunk, but yeah.
It's finished. It's on sale.
It's on sale now. You can buy it on the PlayStation Store. And the asterisks in that announcement did so much heavy lifting. So much heavy lifting. Question of the week last week. What do you think? What did you think of E3? What was your favorite announcement, trailer, whatever, free to play or not? Gessley says, this is the first year that I'm not hyped about anything in particular. I could say I liked that Lost Ark will be released to North America and Europe, but Lost Ark is not anything new to me. I've played on the Russian server before for a month, so I pretty much know what I get by playing it, with some publisher changes in the in-game market. Everything else was like, meh, when it comes out and will look interesting, maybe I'll buy something. Previous years made me not to be hyped too much, not like I burned money on pre-orders, etc., but quite the opposite. I did not buy games that I thought I would like to play when those games were shown/revealed at E3 and other shows. If those games look interesting in the first week and I've seen streams or videos that convince me I will enjoy it, I will then buy it. So a bit of a passive view. Go ahead, Jason.
L2399 says, question of the week. The best announcement at E3 was that Metal Slug Tactics game. Nothing else really got my attention.
It is crazy how much hype Metal Slug Tactics got. I'm excited for it, too. Go ahead, Q.
Misfit Rain. I missed the entire E3, so I don't have a favorite anything about it. Just wanted to add to the comment counter. Side note, I did hear they announced Breath of the Wild 2, which raised a brow.
We always appreciate adding to the comment counter. So if you're here watching, just say hi to me in the comments. Oh, much appreciated.
No, say hi to me.
No, don't
You
say
can
hi
say
to
hi
me.
to cats.
No, don't say hi. Oh, well, shit. Everybody's now going to say hi to the cats. I lost.
Say hi to the cats.
RS Jabber says, question of the week. It was pretty disappointing, especially the Square Enix one. My favorite announcement was Metal Slug Tactics. Can't wait to see how it's going to work with turn-based combat. Chat chiming in. Guardian Veil says, the thing I liked was Metroid Dread. It's not 4, but it looks interesting. I am 100% with you. Jason, finish it off.
Sujet says, the thing I am most hyped about from E3 is Stalker 2. I enjoyed the other games in the series, and I'm ready to go back into that world.
Yeah, that is like a series that just kind of disappeared for a bit, so I am excited about that too.
Well, they're wrong, though. It's supposed to be S.T.A.
Right, right.
Blah, 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 blah.
All right, so I want to know now, question of the week this week. We've talked, joked about Tencent for a very long time on this show, saying they have pieces of everything, but what do you really feel about Tencent? Like, do you have a concern with them being in all these game companies? Does it bother you? Are you okay with it? Is it a good thing for these companies? Is it a bad thing for these companies? Tell us a little bit about why or why not in the comments below. And don't forget your weekly bombs while you're there. Dub-bomb for something good, A-bomb for something bad in the world of gaming or just life in general. And maybe we'll put it on next week's show. Until then, Q, where can everybody find you?
I hang it down on Twitter at Quinlan.
Jason.
On Twitter at Winter Formal, streaming at twitch.tv/JasonWinter.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there at magicman1, but more importantly, follow at MMOBomb on Twitter so we can tweet at you all the latest news, articles, giveaways, interviews, first look videos, and so much more. Until next week, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.